Ryan Miller, it's called Pages. The only way I can get him on is to play one of his songs, I believe. Ryan Miller, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, good morning. And I have to tell you this. Every time you play one of my songs in the bumper, an angel gets its wings. And so I just think everybody wins.
That's why I keep hearing that ding. Real quick, one headline here. Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar. I forgot to mention this earlier. Interview with Trevor Turndrup, Terndrup. That's not my fault. They named him that. Trevor Turndrup of the hit rock group Moon Taxi. So, as Perez and I used to say, he must be a golfer, so they connected one way or the other. But he always makes them interesting.
So. Moon Taxi's pretty good, actually.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about so many different things here. I was looking at some of the numbers out there. Have you seen the new revenue numbers and also the unemployment numbers?
I've seen unemployment numbers. I haven't seen the revenue numbers yet.
Revenue numbers were down in August. I think about 3 million missing estimations, which for 1 month is not that concerning, but with the Bidenomics out there being touted, it's always a little bit concerning. Sure. But you take that, and I think the unemployment went to about 3-something. It was 3.2 or something, which is not that bad. It's still low. But what's the overall view, and you feel like the climate is in Mississippi?
Yeah, well, of course, we're at Accelerate. We're trying to be as proactive, optimistic as possible, and encouraging as we can. There's no doubt that those are challenges that are facing from external, mechanisms in place at the federal level that do trickle down and affect us in negative ways. But I can tell you that what we're focusing on is trying to help Mississippians understand the opportunities to get into pathways that lead to high yield, high return career destinations. I think we're doing a better job of making those pathways known to people, expanding capacity. And I think if more people take advantage of those pathways, you're going to see things like unemployment continue to go down, labor force actually go up, and we're working hard to make that a reality.
Let me kind of simplify this because people don't understand Accelerate Mississippi or workforce development and everything else. Whenever, for years and years and years, if you've been in the Chamber of Commerce or anything like that, you understand this. But for years and years and years, the competitiveness across the state of Mississippi, and we were always like the last predators on the roadkill. Somebody else is always bigger, and they've always taken first. The number one thing, at least one of the top 2 or 3, has always been, we would love to move into your state if everything else, if the infrastructure is okay, if your tax base, if your incentives, you come forth with your incentives. But number one, we've got to have that workforce there.
Sure.
If we don't have the workforce, we ain't even considering your. And then, for that to happen, you have to have a working relationship with people across the entire state.
Sure.
And for 140 years of Democrat control, we were never able to put that together.
Right.
How do you put all of that together? Then, in the last few years, something called Accelerate Mississippi, and this guy out of Oxford named Ryan Miller came forth. And I really do believe, from what we see, we're on our way to solving that.
I do, and certainly I'm energetic and optimistic. I can tell you that one of the things that I think people are starting to really kind of recognize, there have been people in communities that have been working for decades trying to make a difference, positive impact on the lives of the people that they live with there, and making sure that they get on those pathways to better jobs. But it's the complexity and the complicated fashion or nature of workforce. How many things flow into that? How many levers can pulled or pushed that have an impact on the health of and vitality of the workforce? And so when we came into existence 2.5 years ago, getting our arms around all of those complicated factors, it's not just do we have the right equipment at our community colleges for training. It's not just do we have the right programs at our four-year institutions that are promoting these good jobs. It's not just do we have the right career technical education system in place in our K-12 system. All of those things are part of it, but there's so much more. There are more layers to the onion that I think a lot of people recognized and realized. We're peeling those layers back and dealing with each one at a time, and I think we're starting to see some benefit.
And there's also this thing, almost like a high school football rivalry between Shaw and Shelby, or you can name just anybody out there on the coast. Everybody, if somebody calls a mayor's office on someplace, I mean, they're going to hold that almost like the secret Powerball number that just hit. They're not going to let anybody out to let them see it. So you had that type of rivalry. It was very, very difficult trying to get people to work together or even communicate with Jackson.
Sure. Well, I think what you're also recognizing now, though, is, Mississippi, as diverse a state as we are geographically, population densities, infrastructure-wise, success in one part of the state actually does yield benefit for other parts of the state as well. And so when communities start to recognize it may not be our city, but it may be the city next door that has this new opportunity, we need to lean into that and find ways to coordinate better with the resources that we have so that we see benefit in our community. And the byproduct of that is if you see cities, counties, different ecosystems working together, you're going to find that those communities that may not have won that project this time are going to see a greater probability that they'll win the project the next time. So there's a symbiotic relationship that I think people recognize now, that there's a greater sense of wanting to collaborate and cooperate with one another.
Let me ask you this, and again, Ryan Miller, Executive Director of Accelerate Mississippi, is our guest this morning. Ryan, if we didn't make widgets here, and all of a sudden a company from Sweden wanted to come in and hire 3,000 people and put up a mega factory, how long would it take for us to train our workforce in widgets? Producing widgets.
Well, obviously, it depends.
That's not an overnight deal.
No, it takes a lot of groundwork, and certainly what we've been trying to do here in the initial phases of our office is working with our, the training providers that we have in the state. We've been working with our 15 community colleges since day one to find out, kind of assess where are you in your workforce side of the house, where are you on your career technical education side of the house, how can we better resource you with the dollars that we've been given responsibility over, so that when those companies do land, the amount of time that it takes to develop curriculum, deploy it quickly, have the right equipment in place, have the right training mechanisms in place, that time gets shrunk down so that the ramp up period for that company goes from X number of months to Y number of months being cut in half. So there's no doubt we have focused on customizable training in our office, which is basically a mechanism by which when economic developers and communities bring in new companies like that, they're making widgets from Sweden, that we're able to deploy real-time, fast-deployed workforce solutions with our community college training providers and others to ensure that we can reduce that amount of time and get that company up and making widgets as quickly as possible.
So that time is shrinking slowly.
It is shrinking. It has to. It had to be competitive. When you look at the contiguous states to Mississippi, they do it well. We're getting better at it.
I think we see that tangibly now as far as the aluminum plant or the steel. What is it? The aluminum plant.
Sure. Yeah, SDI, the aluminum plant up there.
Yeah, the aluminum plant.
Yes, absolutely. And certainly we've been in conversation with our different educational providers in that area to make sure that they have what they need. So when the company asks for help or has some sort of need, we can get that quick turnaround.
What percentage of these training providers come from the company themselves? Like KLLM has their own trucking, et cetera, and then the community college are a big force out there.
Sure. Well,
is there a certain percentage where it's 50-50, or how does that line
I can't give you the solid percentage at this point, but I can tell you what's increasing are more of a public-private partnership with these with colleges and industry. So KLM is a great example. They recognized we need more people in the CDL and logistics and supply chain. Can we work with you, Hines Community College, to ensure that our, some of the business philosophy that we have, some of the things that we want as a part of the curriculum that are very company specific is embedded in this training, but can we work with y'all to get the infrastructure in place? You're seeing more companies do that, roll up their sleeves, put a little bit more skin in the game, working with their local community colleges to make sure that, again, you're reducing time, you're getting more people into your production or onto your factory floor or into your trucks or into your places of business faster, and with the training that these companies specifically need. So more of that public-private partnership is growing. We're seeing a lot of that.
There are two other things. I just thought about this. There are two other things that will ensure that you have more gray hair very soon.
It's coming.
When you accomplish all of those things. And we'll talk about those two other things when we return with Ryan Miller, Executive Director of Accelerate Mississippi. Christopher Swarford will join us, President, CEO, Mississippi Blood Services. Ryan Miller and Road That Go. What's your favorite song on that one?
Oh, it's probably that one. That one, or there's another one on that album called "Tastes Like Another One" that I wrote. That was something my dad used to say. And I'll share this real quick. Anytime he went to Tater Nut Donut in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and he got a chocolate glazed, he'd say, "Whew, that tastes like another one," and he'd go get another donut. So all of a sudden I was like, I got a great song idea.
Oh, man, yeah.
So he's been gone now almost 8 years. So every time I hear that song or play that song, that's probably my favorite. Road That Cole Made Black's a close second.
How about that? I was, when we left, and Ryan Miller is my guest, executive director of Accelerate Mississippi. Do you have a chance to still play every once in a while?
Yeah, I'm playing this weekend at the Mississippi Songwriter Festival on the Gulf Coast. So
are you?
But it's rare that I get to do it. Obviously, my job is the priority. Yeah. Family's a priority.
Where's it going to be on the coast?
It's going to be in Ocean Springs and Gaucher. There's like 12 different venues that a ton of Mississippi songwriters are getting to play. So if anybody's down there Friday through Sunday, check out the website for Mississippi Songwriter Alliance, and you'll see where you can check it out.
We won't crowd you out, and I won't move you from the rotation, but tell them if they do have some songs.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a talk station network at it that will
Paul,
be glad to help them out.
You are welcome to kick my music out and let other people in. Trust me, I think everybody would probably appreciate that.
We have enough room for everyone. there we go. Now, we were talking about when we came back, adding to your headaches are a couple of things that people don't even think about. And number one, Ryan, is the trainability. It's the number of trainable people we have in Mississippi, because, I mean, we got a lot of rural areas in the state.
Sure.
Admittedly, when you put our entire population together, like we do on this audience, it's the size of putting Dallas and Houston together.
Right.
It's pretty sizable, around 3.5 million people.
Right.
But individually, in different regions of the state, we do have a problem. Then you put the trainability of that workforce together, the numbers that you have. And, I mean, that's a generational problem across the country, teaching them to show up on time and also pull your pants up.
Sure, it is, but I think you're starting to see, even like I said before the break, companies are recognizing that they play a role in that too. I was visiting with Robinson Electric in Cleveland, Mississippi, a great family-owned company there, who recognizes the challenge. They came to us and said, look, we want to help. We want to create a training facility here that we and other industries within our community can utilize. We have a great relationship with the Cleveland Career Technical Education Program. We have a relationship with Mississippi Delta Community College and their CAP Training Center. We want to be able to use virtual training as well as hands-on real-time training, and create a state-of-the-art training facility that the community itself can use. So you're seeing companies, along with state partners, try to figure out how do we focus resources effectively, collaboratively, so that you're increasing the bandwidth of training opportunities, and you're reaching kids at a much earlier age to try to help with that trainability issue. And they're doing that. Other companies around the state, the Forge Group over in the Columbus area, Paul, I know you've been to the Forge Expo. Those are family-owned businesses that recognize they play a role in that too.
Absolutely incredible. I think there were 8th graders.
Yes. And look, I can make the argument that engaging students even earlier than 8th grade about career trajectory, career planning, career destinations, and using financial literacy, simple math, to help them understand, by starting now planning about your future, this is what this means and this is what it equates to for you financially over time. Then you're going to see that change, that whole trainability, the whole...
I hope it does.
I really believe it.
I'm laughing because it was a guest, God bless her, I'm not going to mention her name, and it was many, many years ago, and we were talking about the same subject. This has got to be 15 years ago. And she mentioned this, and she was in a position in a nonprofit organization similar to yours. And we were talking about the need for them to consider, if they don't go to college, there's a great future out there. And this is a long time ago. It seems like in a different life. But she said her daughter wanted to become a diesel mechanic. and I laughed at that, but she said that's what she really wants to do that. This lady was an accomplished teacher, and of course, she was looking at her first child not going to college. So you had to get over that mindset. Here's someone that is out there saying that you really don't need to go to college. You can have a great life. You wouldn't have that student loan, and you do what you like to do. But in her own family, she had that dichotomy. So it's not easy.
I've had that conversation with my children. I have 3, and Shirley Kate just turned 13. She asked me about diesel technicians and what they made and what type of.
No kidding.
Yes, and so the point is, not to dissuade students from pursuing different educational pathways. It's giving them information about the careers that are available in demand right now, and then helping them understand the educational pathways that are available to them to get them there. And I think that's true of 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, K through 12, where you're just getting training right out of high school and going directly into the workforce. And listen, real quick, I'll tell you this, doing simple math, helping a student understand that if you start making $60,000 a year and you never make another dime above that, but you put away 10% every year, and into a retirement, I think a moderate performing retirement plan, that over the lifetime of your working years, you'll be a millionaire easily just by saving. So it's providing information about the careers, the paths that get them there, and educational resources available, and simple math of what it means to save. The power of a dollar can help.
The latest one was the Limited plan. I think they're talking about starting salaries at way above $65,000. $90,000.
Absolutely, great opportunities there to find careers that are very financially rewarding, and opportunities for growth and expanding upon your skill sets in that company. There are companies, even smaller family-owned companies in the state of Mississippi, that have incredible packages.
Absolutely. But why don't we also shortchange our students a little bit talking about this whole narrative, because it's not so much binary. And I use this example. You go in, you want to be an electrician. You get into this is something you really want to do. You get into it. You love it. You move back to your hometown. There's a need for an electrician there. You are lacking a little bit on the business side of the industry. So you can always go back to school. I mean, you can always, with technology as it today, it doesn't preclude that further education is not a deal. You can do it online.
Absolutely. The educational highway has more on and off ramps now than ever before, and you're seeing industries, a lot of companies will hire you and say, look, we want to hire you at this set wage, and we also have, as a bonus, we have resources that'll send you back to school to get your bachelor's, get your master's, and so forth. So that highway has more on ramps and off ramps now than ever before, and companies recognize that that's a benefit for people when they come to work.
I'm going to ask you about Senate Bill 2371. That was the one that gave some grants out there from, I think it's $28 million APR funds. One of them was the nursing program.
Sure.
Is that still available? It's still out there?
So, yes, I appreciate you bringing that up. We just actually had ARPA funds that we deployed in the healthcare sphere, recognizing that's a career destination with a lot of opportunity that also provides much-needed benefit to the people of Mississippi. So we had our Nursing and Allied Health Grant Program that we just deployed. That was roughly $18 million that we have partnered with institutions around the state to expand their allied health. Just so you know, our Career Coach program here in the first 6 weeks of operation in this school year had so many student contacts and so many student engagements, but healthcare was one of the most popular, discussed career paths amongst the students with these career coaches. So getting allied health programs, the capacity and that pathway expanded to allow more students to pursue it. We had Nurse Navigator program. We had $2 million that was just deployed with the Nurse Navigator program. Those are essentially career coaches for nursing schools. Great.
What is Nurse Navigator?
Yeah, so it's actually basically career coaches within nursing programs that help nursing. Yeah. One of the things we recognized, huge percentage of people who start nursing programs don't finish. And some of the reasons for which they don't finish, I think, are easily overcome when you have some trusted guide, shepherd, a coach, if you will, helping them to navigate those programs and finish and get into the healthcare facilities we need them the most. Those are nurse navigators. So we just put funding into building up that program, and then also $3 million for.
We can finish this on the other side.
Sure.
Would the schools know this information, or do you have to go to Accelerate Mississippi to get
so
this?
we have done our best to try to beat the bushes and sound the trumpets, but we've also relied heavily on our ecosystem coordinators and the career coaches that we've partnered with to get the word out.
I got you. Final segment with Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller, Executive Director, Accelerate Mississippi. Final thoughts here, sir, where we're going and what the 2024 legislative session looks like. Any course corrections or things that you need?
No, well, we're just continuing, and let me say this, too. We're grateful for the support of our legislature, and certainly the governor and lieutenant governor and the speaker have been huge supporters and encouragers. They have high expectations, and as well they should. This next session, I think we're just going to continue to push for, more resource that we can direct towards the programs that we know are working. Career coaches being one of those. Right now, 80% of our school districts have access to at least one career coach. We want to see the entire state have access to at least one or more career coaches to help young people understand the career destinations available to them. So that's going to be.
Let me ask you this: what's the resume of someone who could be turned into a career coach, real quick?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, what we're seeing, those career coaches that have experience in whether it's guidance counselors, former teachers, but we've also seen some business owners, retired business men and women who've come out of retirement, so to speak, and try to pour some of their business acumen into students' minds as they're trying to help prepare them and get them through their high school experience. So it's a little bit of everything, but the primary common denominator is that they are focused on pouring their passion into students' futures and really trying to encourage them to see Mississippi as their home and destination, even after any community college or four-year institution, that they make Mississippi their home in perpetuity.
So this is their full-time course.
It is.
That they teach.
Yep.
Is that in all of our schools now? Or?
It's not. So the career coaches themselves are not employees of the school district. They're employed by some of our partners in the planning development
they're not
districts.
on PERS.
They are not, but it also gives them flexibility. So they're not having to do lunchroom duty or bus duty.
I got you.
They're solely focused on making connections between kids and industries in their communities.
Is there some pushback from the administration of schools hiring them?
No. In fact, we've had some great collaboration with the schools. I think initially there were just questions as to, okay, how is this going to work, and who do they report to, and how can we be assured that our students have the best interest, or that they have the best interest of the students at heart. Now we're seeing more and more school district superintendents say, this is wonderful. It's an added teammate for us. It's an added resource. And we're seeing job shadowing, job applications go up among students. We're seeing career and field trips to industries in those communities. So more and more schools are recognizing this is a great resource for them.
Listen, we had one on the air over the years, a young student who'd been out of the high school for a couple of years. At best, he would have had 2 years community college. Went directly to work, and this was on the coast, and he was making started off at 50-something, was making $65,000. Still living at home with his parents. And if you stayed in school with a liberal arts, you probably had $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in student loans, where this guy had put $260,000 in the bank and had 4 years of experience. So add that together.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that the college costs have increased. I think for us and Accelerate, our job, we want to encourage students to pursue education. But what we're using as our encouragement is let's focus on the career that the student has interest in. Let's help them figure out their passions, their abilities, where those intersect the job market, find that destination. And then let's identify, is that a 2-year degree? Is that a certification? Is that a 4-year degree? So let's focus on those 4-year degrees that we know have a connectivity to that career destination, and we know that has a good yield on investment. I know I came out with a lot of student loan debt from law school, and thankfully, no law firm hired me. The state of Mississippi, I always say, breathes a sigh of relief knowing that I'm not practicing law. But it's helping those linkages, helping students understand what career destination they want to focus on and what educational pathway is available to get them there. So whether that's 4 years.
It sounds so simple, but it is taking us decades and decades to turn the page and get there.
That's where that complexity, peeling that layer of the onion back, you find it's more complicated. It is a simple philosophical idea. It just coordinating those efforts and getting all resources focused collaboratively on that is a challenge, but we're making headway.
It's also, with technology's changing a lot of things and making this even more possible, because in some of the schools, community colleges, for instance, whatever the application is, you can replicate that almost real world like with the technology that you put in these classrooms, and they go seamlessly from there to the company itself.
Yeah, well, in fact, in some communities, like you can go to Northwest Community College, and there are John Deere, like unbelievable state-of-the-art John Deere tractors and combines on their campus that have more technology in it than my car. Those are the actual equipment that those students will go to work on repairing when they leave that Northwest program. So companies are actually making sure that there is state-of-the-art equipment in those college classrooms to make it more real world-like.
Good job, man. Appreciate it very much.
Hey, it's
Thank
good
you.
to see you, Paul. Thank you for having me on.
Ryan Miller, thank you.